Welcome to Module 14, Data Protection Act 2018. This module outlines the relationship between the EU General Data Protection Regulation (GDPR) and the UK Data Protection Act 2018. By the end of this module, you will comprehend the reasons for having a Data Protection Act, the connection between DPA and GDPR, variations between them, the different data protection regimes specified in the DPA, enforcement of the DPA, and the impact of Brexit on personal data transfers between the UK and the EU. History of the Data Protection Act. Since World War II, various attempts have been made to formalize data privacy within the European Union. The EU Data Protection Directive of 1995 introduced a unified approach, but interpretation differences persisted. The GDPR of 2016 aimed to minimize these disparities. The UK initially adopted the Data Protection Act 1998, DPA 1998, to align with the EU directive and later introduced the DPA 2018 to align with the GDPR. The General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR. The GDPR strictly regulates the collection, storage, and use of personal data across the European Union. As a regulation, it applies uniformly across the EU, but member states can apply allowable changes called derogations. Each jurisdiction has its own Data Protection Act aligning with the GDPR. Key elements of the Data Protection Act 2018 and GDPR. The DPA 2018 and GDPR share many common elements, including principles for processing personal data, rights of data subjects, security of processing, international data transfers, and management of data breaches. Differences between DPA 2018 and GDPR. Several differences exist, such as the use of sensitive data by certain agencies, exceptions related to immigration data, and specific processing regimes for law enforcement and intelligence services. Scope of the Data Protection Act 2018. Neither the DPA nor the GDPR applies to personal data used for personal or household purposes. For instance, individuals using personal data for personal or household use are not covered. Data protection regimes in the DPA 2018. The DPA 2018 is divided into 4 parts, outlining 4 separate data protection regimes: General Processing, GDPR, General Processing Applied, GDPR, Law Enforcement Processing, and Intelligence Services Processing. Enforcement of the Data Protection Act. Enforcement is carried out by the Information Commissioner, who can issue various notices and penalties based on regulatory action policies. Brexit and adequacy. Brexit severed the UK from the EU, and to facilitate data flow, the UK adopted the EU Withdrawal Act 2018, basing the DPA on the GDPR. This alignment enhances the UK's adequacy status, ensuring free data flow between the UK and EU. Summary: the DPA 2018 tailors the GDPR to the UK's context, encompassing 4 distinct data protection regimes. It forms part of the European Union Withdrawal Act 2018.